Welcome back, everybody. Today we'll be discussing the Travis Scott Jordan 1 Low Golf once again. Specifically, we'll be discussing whether it should sell or hold the Travis Scott Jordan 1 Low Golf and why that is. To preface, if you guys enjoy these types of videos regarding the market, reselling, and even info on how to acquire these limited products, make sure to subscribe and enable post notifications. This way, you're always 100% updated. Furthermore, follow my Twitter, KeithAdam10, for urgent updates, just like the shock drop that we saw today for the Jordan 12 Cherry. For early info before the shock drops occur, Endurance always has your back, along with much more, which goes beyond sneaker reselling. So if you're looking for a profitable side hustle, consider joining with the link in the description below. But anyway, for those who don't know, the Travis Scott Jordan 1 Low Golf drops on October 13th, tomorrow on Nike sneakers, and they already had their raffle on the Travis website. But it seems that release was actually a backdoor. Leave a like if you want a full video on this. Retail will be $170, but the Travis raffle only charged $150 plus shipping, which is another thing we might need to talk about in that video. Total stock for these is supposed to be over 50,000 pairs, but there will only be about 37,000 pairs dropping on sneakers tomorrow. The rest are allocated mostly to the Travis raffle and some to boutiques. But again, this is something we might need to talk about in a full video. So leave a like if you're interested in that. Anyway, in order to determine if the Travis Scott Jordan 1 Low Golf Olive will be a fruitful hold, we will cover an estimated range of what the sneaker will settle at after the drop, and also when shipments come in, essentially the pairs going in circulation, whether they're expected to increase post-drop or even continue to decrease, along with how much specifically over specific periods of time, and finally, what type of margin we're looking at for these in terms of holding. Basically, if they go up, are they going to be worth your time or not? Kicking it off, let's discuss the estimated range that these should be settling at. To begin with, stock for these is quite low, just like all Travis Scott Jordan 1 Lows, but we still do have the majority of pairs to be released. Like all Travis Jordan 1s, of course, demand is absolutely insane. It doesn't matter that it's a golf shoe, especially since they don't have huge spikes on them. Demand is absolutely crazy for these. Overall, expect these to remain extremely profitable with an incredible margin, full throttle. The current average price precisely for sizes 8 to 12 is $966. Now, we normally see a notable change post-US drop. This is when we normally experience what I like to refer to as the impulsivity effect. You guys should know what I'm referring to by now, as we discuss this very frequently, yet it almost always occurs to a degree. Regarding the impulsivity effect, if you haven't watched my seller hold videos before, sneaker drops specifically impact human impulsiveness significantly after an individual fails to acquire that desired product due to insufficient supply and too much demand. Therefore, on average, we normally see about a 10% increase of the pre-drop prices post-drop. Now, that 10% isn't always the case, such as when a sneaker is slightly overvalued. When it comes to these, I actually think that is going to be the case where they are slightly overvalued, and thus we won't be seeing that typical 5 to 10% increase, which is very similar to what we've seen on prior Travis Scott Jordan 1 Lows. If anything, we might even see them drop a little in value post-drop. With that said, we'll leave the post-drop price still around $966 on average, a very complex calculation, as you could see, took a lot of time. Unlike other releases we typically discuss, which are just a 5 to 10% increase. But now let's discuss what prices will look like once the shipments go out and all pairs go into circulation during the 2 to 3 week range. Normally we see a 10% decrease in value for general releases, but since this is not a general release and there is hardly any pairs in circulation now, I'd expect a much larger drop in value, potentially 20% like we've seen on prior Travis Scott Jordan 1 Lows. If we do see that 20% decrease, this could leave sizes 8 to 12 at an average of $773, which is close to what we saw on the other Travis Jordan 1 Lows too. Now that the average price range at those points in time are evident, let's discuss whether they're expected to increase from the post-shipment price or continue to decrease. Looking at the prior Travis Scott Jordan 1 Lows, it looks like they have not really appreciated. They've actually depreciated. Of course, some macro factors are at play here, but either way, this is not a good thing to see. And the big problem overall is the fact that they're just starting so high in value, which makes it difficult for them to increase, of course. Overall, I wouldn't expect much positive movement for a very long time, and they might even decrease a bit more in the short term. So finally, regarding the hold margin on these, basically, Are they worth your time even if they do go up? Well, in the short term, given that I'm not expecting an increase in the short term, obviously there would be no positive short-term ROI. We have seen a lot of Jordan golf pairs do well over time, long term, but I don't know if these will follow that same pattern since they're not much more limited than other normal Travis Scott Jordan 1 Low colorways, and I think that's the biggest factor at play when it comes to those Jordan Golfs appreciating. Eventually, I can see these and other Travis Lows appreciating, especially as the economy improves and people have more disposable income, of course, but because the value is so high, it would take a really significant amount for you to see a good ROI on these specifically. Hence, I have decided to rate these a 3 out of 10 hold. Not good, below average. Honestly, if I cop, I think I'm going to go golfing in them. And I'm not even joking, I promise I'll do it if I cop. I mean, wearing these on the course, you're basically f***ing head honcho. Like, no one's gonna f*** with you after that. Also, just a note in general for anyone considering holding any items who does have low capital, you should never hold anything in general if you don't have sufficient capital to go for as many drops as possible at your full potential without holding back. If you need money to go for any drops, try to sell these as soon as possible regardless. Let me know what you guys are doing with your pairs down in the comments below. Since this is a discussion, at the end of the day, I can't predict the future. That's just my personal analysis based on the data that I've acknowledged. We have a lot of brilliant minds watching now, so I implore you to leave your notions below. Remember, check out Endurance with the link in the description if you're looking to broaden your horizons as a reseller and entrepreneur in general outside of just reselling sneakers. But with that, have a fantastic rest of your day and good luck on this upcoming release.